So today's floral video is going to be about decorating a simple bouquet, or as we call it, a hand-tied bouquet, and people often order this style for many reasons. You will need 50 long or medium stem roses, some white daisies, some chrysanthemums, about 10 to 15 stems, some gypsophila, or we call it baby's breath, and also some greens, approximately 10 stems of aspidistra leaves. You can use other greenery of your choice, and some Teepe palm leaves. I staple the folded aspidistra leaf with some staples twice for strength, and you can secure it with some wire or some floral tape, but that will take more time, so this method is just easier. Teepe leaves need to be trimmed for shape and to look more neat, and also that sometimes the tips of the palm leaves can dry and begin to brown and it can start looking less attractive, so it doesn't hurt to just trim it a little bit. When everything is prepared, you can start assembling. It's not very difficult, and any person, even without any experience, can do this. The main thing is to be patient and hold everything tightly in your hands so that the flowers don't crumble and fall apart. All you need is to have really strong hands, and since it's not very easy to collect such a bouquet, and there are so many flowers, I'm going to try to give you some advice on how you can physically alleviate this difficulty. So in the beginning, I collect everything in freestyle. I take some of the roses, I fill in the spaces between the roses with the daisies and the baby's breath. I just collect all the flowers in my hand by lightly squeezing them somewhere around the middle of the stem. When a hand-tied bouquet is collected, the larger the diameter that is ultimately planned to be obtained, the lower along the stem you need to begin holding or grabbing. Physically, the distance from the head of the rose to the grip in my hand is the radius of the finished product, approximately. So just kind of eyeball it. Absolutely freely, without any scheme, I collect the flowers, distribute them among myself as if I'm installing them inside of a vase, and evenly filling all of the free space with any filler flowers. If I notice an empty space formed as a result of assembling, I simply insert a rose or a daisy perpendicularly into it. Continuing to fill in a circle shape, I begin to insert flowers at an angle, sometimes in places several at once, and sometimes towards each other, again, at an angle. Flowers, as a rule, begin to cling to each other, as it were forming a stable gridlock. And if it's easier to understand, a bird's nest, for example, the assembled structure acquires sufficient strength to keep itself up. I have always emphasized the advantages of this loose assembly over the universally recommended spiral technique. Maybe that spiral technique looks good in the books or in videos, but not in real life. Especially in that moment of reality when you have a lineup of customers and you need to do everything really quickly. So your protective mechanisms of energy saving begin to kick in. And usually at such a time, you don't think about schemes, but you rather start cutting corners. And as it turns out, it's not that bad. I'm going to reveal a secret to you. When hiring a floral designer, I would need to choose between one who knows the spiral floral technique, but can make one bouquet in an hour, and the other who can make a similar bouquet in 15 minutes without following any technique. Personally, I would go with the second option. Continuing the assembly, at some point I begin to feel that I can no longer hold all of these flowers in my hands. My hands begin to swell up and ache, so I need to let go. I need to stretch my fingers and my hands. So for this, I'm going to use a regular rubber band. I'm going to grab one stem of the rose and wrap it around the bouquet, and again, grab it, or another stem, and secure the whole bunch in my hand. Then, after giving a little rest to my hands, restoring blood circulation in my fingers, I decorate the greenery around the circumference of the bouquet. since the elastic is now holding the entire structure together. You can correct the position of any flowers or give more airiness or volume to the bouquet as well. Now, around the entire circumference of the bouquet, I insert the prepared greens, first the aspidistra and then the palm leaves. Sometimes when the bouquet gets very large, I put on 2 elastic bands just to make sure, just to be safe, in the case of one of the elastics breaking, so that the bouquet doesn't fall apart completely and it doesn't ruin everything. So just to be safe, double up. And when the bouquet is ready, and it begins to look beautiful, round, and proportional, the rubber band can then be removed, and you can replace it and secure it with some floral tape and some ribbon. Now I need to wrap the bouquet, and for this I chose a floral decorative mesh that complements or matches the color. I cut off a piece, absolutely just eyeing it, and I fastened the cut edge with some staples. I do this mainly to give volume, but also because the edges of the decorative mesh tend to cling to everything, and it can even cling to my customer's blouse and pull on some threads. So just staple it to avoid that. Having wrapped the bouquet with the mesh, I again tighten it and fasten it with some staples. Then I cover the visible stems of the flowers with some waxed decorative tissue paper to cover all the visible details of the work I've done. And of course you can do this differently, but in this case, do not forget to remove the rubber bands. Then I tear off the cellophane to size and I wrap my bouquet in it, securing everything with some clear Scotch tape. And the last detail is a luxurious bow, which I do myself using the twisting method. And we have many videos on our channel about this, so please go check it out. Flower stems are open, and therefore, if I need to store the bouquet for some time, I put the bouquet in a container with some water in it, and I simply just place it in the fridge. Thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments or questions you may have below, and don't forget to subscribe.